All right, we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, Born on 11970. And I got an interesting situation that will have meaning to the title, so no, it's not a clickbait title or anything like that. And I'm going to share some more epiphanies with you all, and you guys can be the judges of what you think is possible, because when you pay attention to signs and you release your fear, it's amazing where life will bring you and answer questions for you. So I highly recommend watching this from the beginning so you can get the full context. Okay, so I have been, as most of you know, because of the whole situation in the world, and we won't get into that because this is not what it's about, I've been out of work for about 8 months. When you're not by yourself, because I am married, but my wife works at home. I've been around trying to look for work, but you can't. It gets almost depressing at certain times. Not anything I can't handle, but it can get you down. You can rethink things, and it can bring you down different paths. So for a while, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, trying to learn as much as I can, because I find that when you speak to other people who have things to offer and you take them with an open mind, you can learn things. Now, you could take bits and pieces of that information, and if only one piece helps you, then, it's still helpful. So I've been watching a lot of videos, and if you know anything about YouTube, they'll start to do recommended videos based on the things you watch, but every now and then there'll be a random thing that has nothing to do with what you're watching. And most of the time, I don't pay attention to stuff because it's usually not anything that I'm interested in. But then all of a sudden, I started watching these videos about abandoned mines and people going into them to find, just to find out what's in them. Some of them have been abandoned since the 1800s. And I got fascinated with watching it. And I was watching video after video where people would just do videos and have video channels where they go into abandoned mines and just look around. Then I started getting more of these different channels where there was some of them where I thought they were crazy, like literally going down 600-foot shafts, going in between cut open veins of rocks where there's maybe a couple of feet of space, hundreds of feet below the Earth's surface. And I'm like, these people are crazy to do this kind of stuff. So I've been watching that for the past couple of days. Now, I'm going to skip to another part and backtrack to something that happened last night to show you the more relevance of it. Well, so this has been going on for about 4 or 5 days now, where I've been just obsessed for no reason. I've never cared about it before, watching cave videos and exploration videos and going into places that most people will never go into, because some of them, unless you're an expert climber, it's almost like a rock climber down below the surface. I just started watching video after video on this, and I just got fascinated with it. All right, so, like I said, every now and then you'll get a recommendation. So all of a sudden, there's a video where just about a half hour ago, about somebody that was a cave explorer, but went missing. And he was looking for what he said he found was what's called the letter M, as in Michael, what they called an M cave. And he disappeared trying to find it. And he said it was the only cave that he was ever afraid to go in. And when he got close to it, it was somewhere near Area 51. Now, I don't know if it's exactly in Area 51, but generally in that kind of area where it's all desert. And he said he came across this cave that looked like the shape of an M. And when he got close to it, his body would vibrate. And he was too afraid to go in. And then he made video. I guess people tried to call him out or say you're a liar or whatever, because he said he couldn't find it after that. He said, I'm going to go on a 3-day expedition, ends up getting lost, never to be found again. Now, somebody was talking about in another video that I watched after that, because once I saw that interesting subject about a person that was going looking for a mine that disappeared and they couldn't find him, and they didn't know where the bodies were in the time I watched the video, I started getting interested. So I typed in M cave. And there was this video that might have seemed crazy, but they were talking about how he supposedly got killed by a demon. Now, I'm not talking about the physical kind of demons and everything in the purpose of my video. Whether they exist or not, I'll leave that up to you. But the night before, well, let me get into this. This person said the reason behind the cave and the vibration is they were saying because either aliens or demons. Some people say they're the same thing. I'll give that up to you. This is not what I'm talking about. There's a deeper meaning, so please bear with me. This is not a fear porn video. There will be a happy ending to this, I promise you. But they were talking about the fact that this person potentially got killed by a physical demon. And they said there were people that were trying to find him, and one of them drew an outline of like a 7 to 8 foot tall human-like person with these kind of demon wings. Now here's the thing. If you've been watching my channel for a while now, you know every now and then I have these dreams where they analyze a lot of things in my life. Now, the interesting thing is my birthday comes up a lot. Well, at least the day after. Because this person went on his expedition November 10th. My birthday's November 9th. So when you see certain numbers like 11 and 9 coming up, for me at least, it's synchronicity. Meaning you're on the right track if you keep seeing the right numbers. So that right there led me to be interested in this. Now, the night before, when I saw this, if I wouldn't have had this dream that I had, I would have just never clicked on the video, especially the one saying about a demon, and I would have just thought it was crazy. But the dream I had last night was the fact that there were these angels that came down and said, you know, if you want to reach love, if you want to reach enlightenment, come up and fly with us. Now, the weird thing is they didn't have the typical angel wings, like, you know, feathers and looking like an eagle wing. They had dragon wings. But I wasn't scared. It wasn't evil. But it definitely left an impression in my mind. So the fact that I saw the next day a video about the mines, and then all of a sudden an image of this demon, you know, most people would get scared about it and think, oh, it's satanic and stuff like that. But here's where I'm going to change the whole thing. Because in that dream, they kind of appeared like friendly monsters that were trying to entrap me in the dream. But my response was one where they looked at me and they were confused. Because of the fact that they say when most people are faced with a monster, or in other words, an inner demon, because that's what this is all about, it's metaphorically, that most people would either fight it or run away from it in fear. And I did something in response to what I saw, that in the dream, they were blown away by it because they said it never happened before. And I went up to the angel/demon and hugged it. In other words, shared my love with it. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't angry. I wasn't trying to hurt it or having it go away. I embraced it with love. And they said it was and again, this is in a dream I had last night, that they said the response was to that is they were in utter shock. Like they were surprised that somebody did something that they've never seen before. And then I really started thinking about, okay, why was I so obsessed with mines and searching? Because also this person was kind of how I was feeling lately. Because the person that disappeared trying to find this M cave, who left on November 10th, the day after my birthday, was feeling the way I was starting to feel. Like his businesses were failing and he was trying to make it. He was going to lose his home, which, by the way, I lost my home. That's why I'm in Florida now. We had to move because they were taking our house. I mean, most of you that watch knew about that, or I didn't go into major depths, but that's why we ended up moving to Florida. My business failed because of the whole situation here. I was starting a flea market comic book thing, and that disappeared. It went out of business. And he was talking about potential suicidal thoughts, and I'm going to admit that came to my mind. I'm sure it comes with anybody when they get depressed, but I'm not going to be one of those people that acts on it. But it doesn't mean that thoughts cannot come into your mind. A strong person is never afraid to face their weaknesses because that can make you stronger. But here's the thing. Why did all this stuff happen in this 4 to 5 day period? Unless I was paying attention. Now, if you think of it from a set mindset, what is a cave and an abandoned mine symbolize? Well, most of the videos were people going in alone. They were going into darkness. They were going to places that nobody's been in before. Now, what does that represent? That represents your own fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of being alone, fear of being deserted, fear of the darkness, in other words, the unknown. Now, That was just some of the basic ones I started watching, people just walking through tunnels. Then I started watching videos of people that were literally had to scale down these 100-foot shafts with ropes in the middle of the darkness where at any moment something could have collapsed on them. In other words, facing your fear. Because if you think about it, in an emotional setting, because some of these people who treaded in places where most people would be too afraid to go, they found some very valuable rewards. Now, some people went into some of the caves that everybody would go into and found nothing. So in other words, if you think of it from your own emotional standpoint, you have to go into the depths of your brain without fear, knowing that there can be your inner demons that you have to face, and they will do everything to keep you from searching, keeping you out. But you have to lose your fear to be able to search deep down inside yourself where no one else will go, because what will happen? You will find the treasure. You will find your reward. Because if you're a person that stands in front of that cave entrance and you're afraid to go in, well, you will never find your reward. Now, you'll be safe there on the front of the cave, never entering, but see it as fun, because the people that were going down, they weren't scared, they were having fun, they were enjoying it, it was their passion. In other words, they were doing things because they loved it. They weren't using fear as a system, and they ended up reaping the rewards from it. In other words, metaphorically speaking, if you're not afraid to dig deep inside your own psyche, your own fears of being alone and being darkness. Because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, you can never be alone, even if you are in a room by yourself right now. Because if there's air, if there are animals, if there are plants, if there is bacteria, if there is a phone call you could make, if there's a video you're watching, you are never alone. You cannot be alone. So the fear of being alone is actually quite ironic, because you will never be alone, even if you tried to, being the sole person on the top of the highest peak or out in the middle of the regions of space that no one could reach you. You are never alone. But we are focused on that all the time, of being alone, when we never can be. And in other words, what this whole situation was gearing me up towards is, if you look deep inside yourself and be true to yourself with love and without fear, and you're willing to go into those deep, dark crevices that everybody else is afraid to go into, you will reap the rewards that you've been searching for. But those demons, quote unquote, will do everything in their power to prevent you from ever going that far, using your fear against you. In other words, making you an easy target. Think about a bully. A bully never goes after the strongest person. Who do they go after? They go after the weakest person. What about a lion or a cougar or any other predator? Do they go for the strongest animal that will give them the hardest time, or do they go for the young or the injured? In other words, the weak are the easy prey. So think of it intellectually in your mind. Are you weak-minded? Are you basing your life on fear, afraid of the unknown? Never going anywhere, being in front of that cave, or going in the cave that's safe, that you'll never find anything. Because many people will never go inside the cave, but there are a lot of them that will, but they'll never go to the places that are too difficult or too treacherous to go down for fear of losing. But those people will never find anything, because if you ever explored a cave that hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, have explored, anything worth finding has already been long gone. But if you see a hole that is so far down you cannot see, and it could be underwater or it could be a dangerous trek, and you go down there and you do it without fear, you may come up with a treasure. Now, it doesn't guarantee you'll always find something, but search. So those demons are metaphorical. They're your inner demons. In other words, if you want to fly, you have to lose your fear. If fear comes to you, embrace it, love it, don't run away from it, and don't fight it. Because fight or flight means you will never resolve anything in your life. Because if you fight something, you'll never have any kind of knowledge of what it was trying to teach you or offer you. And if you run away from it, same thing. But if you embrace it with love and without fear, you never know. Sometimes what appears to be the image of a demon may be an illusion that can actually give you the gifts that you've been searching for. And they'll only be rewarded if you're not afraid to dig deep in yourself. Think about the Bible, know thyself. So, is it any wonder why the world is in chaos right now? That people are so angry, and people are so afraid, and people are so divisive, and people are so worried about everybody else and what they think of them, and what they're imposing what other people should do and appreciate from others instead of people loving themselves. They're outwardly projecting and being afraid of those demons or wanting to fight those demons because they are too afraid to ever search inside themselves. Because you have to be honest, you have to go in deep in the dark where no one else will travel. And when I came to that discovery now, I had to make this video because it was the first time I smiled in probably months. And I felt this load lift from me. Pay attention to the symbolism that is around you. Focus on it. If you want to be like everybody else, that is miserable, that is depressed, that is angry, that is divisive, then follow them down a path of destruction. You know, like they say, leading the sheep to slaughter, you only need one shepherd to lead all of those sheep. So if you want to follow them, even if you are on a quote-unquote spiritual path, if it leads you down a road that makes you angry, depressed, or fearful, it means you are not looking within yourself, and the world is trying to say, hello, we need to catch your attention, so we're going to make it so obvious. So what appears to be demons are actually very scary alarm systems. They're either geared to force you to want to look in within yourself or keep you far away. That's up to you. You know, there's a reason for a locked gate, but if you have the key to unlock it, you can walk through. But if there's something guarding that gate, maybe it's because it's protecting something amazing on the other side. Are you willing to do what it takes to get through? And again, it doesn't involve violence. You cannot put out a fire with more fire. You cannot save a drowning person by flooding it with more water. It's searching within your own souls, within your own depths, to be honest enough to see that it's okay to have faults, but if you don't learn from them, how can you improve them or make them go away? You know, when you have a cold, what do you do to get rid of your cold? You maybe take medicines, you may go to a healer, you may meditate, you may take vitamins, you may take natural foods, but you're doing something to eliminate a problem. You don't just let it fester. But yet when it comes to your own mind and your own soul and your own psyche, people are so afraid to improve anything. Is it any wonder why things are getting worse? If you had mold on a piece of bread and you leave it in your refrigerator long enough, it will contaminate every single bit of food in your kitchen. So sometimes you have to eliminate the problem, and maybe that's just getting rid of it. So if you have something in your life that is not working for you, you can let others scare you, you can let others convince you that their way is the right way, or you can go with what way is going to make you happier. And if you're not happy, don't look outside, don't look outward, look inward. Why do you think I always say inner stand? Very few people are going to get this information. Very few people are going to focus on the demon thing and say, oh yeah, that's real, and it's coming to get you. If that's what you want to believe, if that's the path you want to follow, where a demon is going to come and take your soul, well, by all means, if that's the kind of life you want to choose, then by all means, that's the beauty of free will. You can choose to go down that road. It is not going to lead you anywhere wonderful and beautiful. Because if it's supposedly true that demons are there to ruin you, why do I feel so enlightened? Why do I feel lighter? Why do I feel happier? Why do I feel more in tune with myself and more loving towards others to the point I want to share this information? Does that sound evil? Does anything that I've said sound evil? So if you want to go down the route of the fearmongers who are going to take these things in a literal sense, then they are falling down the same path that everybody else has fallen down, trapped forever, due to their own choice and not seeing the deeper depths. Sometimes the best rewards have the most feared things in front of them. Look at a video game. Or look at Dungeons and Dragons. You know, when you face the dragon, they have the pot of gold. They have the lair full of gold and treasure. When you step on an ant, you get nothing. So sometimes it's, in other words, if you look at it symbolically, it is the more you are willing to risk to deep down dig into your soul and fight your inner demons, the more possibility of treasure awaiting you. And it doesn't have to be physical gold. It could be enlightenment, spiritual rising. So if you want some of the people that leave the comments that say, oh, this is a religious battle and it's persecution and you're letting in demons and things like that, let me ask you, because there's an old saying that says, by their deeds you shall know them. Does anything that I'm saying sound like something you should be afraid of? So you can make up your own mind. If you let others convince you of your own path, then what is the purpose of you walking it? Do you want to spend your whole life with somebody lifting you up and carrying you everywhere? You better hope they're going to carry you to where you want to go, because if you have no control over it and you let somebody else take the wheel, well, you better hope they know where they're going. Because even if they go to a place that they like, doesn't mean you're going to like it. It's always about choice. And if you're too afraid to look into yourself, then you will never learn. Some of the biggest things in your life you've learned has been through heartache and pain. Don't use it in vain. And the thing is, once you learn something, you don't ever have to learn it again. It's when you don't face your demons or when the demons get stronger. And I'm not talking about actual horned, goated things that fly around in the night. If you want to believe those to be true, you can create them. But why would you want to create something that evil? Just to justify why you stay grounded and never reach for the enlightenment you so say you want to desire and achieve. If you cannot be honest with yourself and you cannot look within yourself and dig down into those crevices and those dark areas by yourself and come out knowing you'll be okay and maybe even pull out a reward, you're never going to get anywhere in life. You're going to be that person in front of that cave, allowing everybody else to tell you, oh, well, that cave is haunted, or there's monsters, or there's been murders, or there's been deaths, or whatever, and you're too afraid to go in there, and you will never know what it's like to have the pleasure of exploration and maybe coming out with something that no one else ever found that could totally change your life for the better. So 98% to 99% of the world will stand in front of that cave too afraid to go in. Another 0.5% will go into the safest caves, but will never tread too far and never find anything other than maybe a bottle or a piece of junk to say, look, I found something. But the very few that are willing to go down to the depths, because if you think about it metaphorically speaking, where do you find demons? Underground, deep down. Well, maybe if you dig deep down, you may reach your inner demons, and you don't have to fight them, you don't have to run from them, you have to embrace them and send love. Because if the world is nothing but a reflection, if you fight something, it's going to fight back. If you run from something, you run away from it, and it may even chase you. You never solve anything. So that is why, out of 47,000 subscribers, 23 people are watching, and of those 23, 11 people have thumbed this video up, which means very few people will ever have the courage to look down deep inside themselves and learn that they are the key to that door. You're just too afraid to find it, because you're afraid of what you'll find. And if you want to live your life depressed and angry and separated, and truly think and try and convince yourself that you are the victim and you are alone and bad things always happen, and never try and do anything to fix it, well, you can blame the outside world all you want. And it's very convenient to blame a horned creature with wings that's not there to be seen, that's doing everything to you. Because if that's the case, then there is no such thing as free will. You can be influenced, you can be tricked / deceived, but if you've been shown a magic trick when you're a kid and you see a person saw a lady in half, you're blown away by that until you find out it's two different women in two separate compartments. Then that trick no longer affects you. So You know, they talk about the unveiling, which, by the way, is the definition of the word apocalypse. An apocalypse is an unveiling. What a coincidence that everybody's talking about these are the days of the apocalypse, and they try and make it into some nasty thing, when an apocalypse is nothing more than an unveiling. So you can either say, I'm crazy, you can ignore it, you could listen and do nothing. That's your choice. What you do and don't do will not affect me, and I will not allow the outside world to affect me ever again after this. I'm going to trust my instincts. I'm going to listen to any sign that's presented to me. I'm going to see where that trail leads me, and I will take it on a metaphorical level and see if it applies to my life. Because what happened in the past 5 days has completely summed up what I've been feeling and going through. You can view that as a coincidence all you want, but it won't change my mind. So I want to thank the people that took the time to listen to this video. I hope somebody gets something out of this. If you're looking for answers and you find something in this that gives you one, now it is your responsibility to do something about it. So the ball is being passed into your court. When you're given knowledge, are you going to pursue it and learn from it and actually do the work it takes to dig deep down inside? Or are you going to be another person that says, that sounds right, but you know, it's too much this and I can't do that and I'm too busy and things are too bad, and wonder why you never get anywhere. You can make every excuse never to go into the cave, but you won't be one of the very few that come out with some prize. If that's the life you want to lead, then just enjoy it. Never complain about the choices you make if you refuse to make any other choices. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If you want to play the blame game and blame everybody in the world instead of looking at yourself, you're actually not learning the lesson that life is nothing more than a reflection. So what you see is a reflection of how you feel, who you are. It is a physical manifestation of your own fears, your own beliefs, the depth of your soul. And if you learn from it, you get rid of it. That's why you don't need to learn your phone number, your social security number, your birthday, and all those other things, because you've learned them already. No one needs to keep teaching you how to drive if you already have a driver's license. And a big egret bird just walked past my path. How interesting. Let me see if I can take a film before I end this. So that was quite interesting. Here, I'll show you. Let me flip this over. So right in front of my property right now, just in my path. So I want you to see that. That's nature. And it's looking right at me. So there you go. That's the world we live in. Beauty, nature. So what a surprise, all of a sudden a very large bird decides to walk in and capture my attention. So ladies and gentlemen, you do what you want. Right now it is a beautiful clear sky. The sun is shining. It is beautiful. If you want the world to be a miserable, dangerous, scary place, then hey, at least take the time to learn from it. Otherwise, what are you doing with your life? So thank you for liking this video. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next video. I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks for listening.